Hi, I am Dimitri Khalezov, and today is 3rd of July 2025. In this video, I would like to make some important statement, warning about a serious crime that might happen tomorrow or after tomorrow. This video will be divided into three parts. I mean, within the same recording. In the first part, I will explain to you details about some earthquake that, as many of you probably know, took place 28th of March 2025 in Southeast Asia, mostly in Myanmar, but also partly in Thailand, and also it affected Bangkok, the capital of Thailand, where I live. And my explanations about a strange and highly suspicious collapse of one high-rise building in Bangkok. And I will prove to you that it was demolished on purpose. It was a controlled demolition. In the second part, I will provide a proof that the actual earthquake was human-made, man-made. And in the third part, I will provide some information about a new big crime that is planned. Please listen carefully. As many of you know about it, on March 28 in Southeast Asia there was a big earthquake. Magnitude of it varied from 7.7 to 7.9, and according to some sources it was even 8.2. A lot of buildings were destroyed in Burma. The most heavily affected city was a city of Mandalay in Burma, the second biggest city. I think many of you saw videos showing the destruction, and probably even the videos that will show the earthquake as it was unfolding. And in Bangkok there was an earthquake too. I was a witness to it because I was in my home, and I live on the 6th floor, and I felt two impact, probably I could call it like that. Each of them felt like a swaying of the floor. They were quite a short in between, maybe less than a minute probably. So there was some effects that felt more stronger in the higher floors. The people who lives like in the 30th floors, they were really scared. It was scary. Not as much as me, because I was only on the 6th floor, but anyway it was scary enough, because you know that earthquake is always scary. So once I felt that, I immediately got out of my building, as many other Thai people did. Again, those who descended from the high-rise building like 30s and even 20s, they were very much scared. But there were no destructions in Bangkok. I will show you a few some footage that depicted how it was.
Measuring 6.7 magnitude on Friday, adding to the destruction and panic.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where's the blood. Here.
Мы спускаемся.
Shit.
I think we're just having an earthquake in Chiang Mai. The whole fucking building is moving. We're on the 14th floor. Wow. It's either an earthquake or it's who knows. But fuck.
This disaster comes at an already challenging time for Myanmar, which has been gripped by civil war since 2021. The ongoing conflict has weakened critical infrastructure, left hospitals struggling, and put millions in desperate need of food and shelter. Now, with the added burden of a catastrophic earthquake, the country faces an even deeper humanitarian crisis.
Here you can see how it looked like from highway. And here you can see how it was on the BTS train station.
ไล่ดูแรงไหมล่ะเนี่ยเวียงขนาดนี้ MRT ครับ
ค่ะแต่นี่ดีว่าทุกคนออกมากันหมดแล้วนะคะอยู่ที่สถานี
รถไฟฟ้าสายสีเหลืองมีภาพนี้กำลังจอดอยู่
สายสถานีสำโรงค่ะ ข้างในไม่มีคนแล้วนะคะ
ส่วน BTS ท่านผู้ชม อันนี้อยู่บนขบวนรถไฟฟ้า
Here you can see how the water in a swimming pool on top of some high-rise building behave.
The Myanmar Red Cross has mobilized, establishing emergency relief stations and providing food, water, and first aid to the displaced. However, the scale of the destruction has overwhelmed local efforts, with reports of shortages in vital supplies.
Here you can see water falling down from the rooftop of some high-rise building.
สระว่ายน้ำคอนโดหรูแห่งหนึ่งค่ะ
ไม่ได้ทะเลาะมันแค่สาดจนน้ำมันไหลอ่ะลงสตอรี่ก่อนว้าวบอกข่าวด้านหนึ่งเลยทุกคน
ถ้ามีคนเล่นน้ำอยู่จะทำยังไงเนี่ยถ้ามีคนว่ายน้ำอยู่อ่ะ
มีบางคลิปอะค่ะ มีคนว่ายน้ำ
เอาไปดูภาพเหตุการณ์คุณอิสราขออนุญาตเถอะอันนี้ถ่ายจาก
It is not necessary that it was a swimming pool. Most likely it was a broken water tank. I'm not quite sure. And here you can see the destruction of a bridge between two towers, which is understandable. And that's it. There were no more destruction in Bangkok. Despite that some buildings in Bangkok were made not from strong and proper materials, there were no collapses of buildings, except only one. A nearly finished construction of a building that was intended for the office of the Thai Auditor General that was located in Chatuchak area of Bangkok. And now let us review the footage of the collapse of this building. Here it is.
ลูกเขียนจะล้มแล้วเอาล้มแล้วล้มแล้วเอาช็อตแล้วนะเอา
แผ่นดินไหวพี่พี่พี่มาดูแทนเทนถล่มเทนถล่มเทนถล่มแล้วเนี่ย
ถอยออกมาไกลๆนะเขารถออกคนหมดแล้วนะต้องมีที่ล้มสักที่แน่เลยแหละดูรถเคนดิดูเคนนี่อุ้ยลงมาเร็วถอยมาไอ้พี่ถอยมาโอ้ยรู้วะตาย
And here is one more.
เฮ้ยข้างบนแม่งแกว่งแล้วเฮ้ยเฮียโอ้ยตัดโอ้ยไอ้เฮียเฮ้ยออกไปที่ส่วนด่วนโอ้ยเย็นแม่โอ้ยเฮียอะไรวะเนี่ย
And one more. And one more.
พี่อย่าไปอยู่ใต้หลังคาเนี่ยมันลงมาบอกอะไร
เฮียไอ้สัตว์เอ้ย
And one more.
เฮ้ยโอ้ย
And here you can see some videos that was posted by Thai people, because you can see even the Thai language on these videos, where the Thai people rightly suspect that something is wrong with that. And you can even see a flash of some explosion in one of these videos. Finally, here is some excerpt of explanation of one American engineer. Please look at it carefully.
So let's take a closer look at the many angles that we have of this tower collapsing in Thailand. Based on the reports, this was the only tower we know of that collapsed in Bangkok. And it was built in a partnership between the Italian Thai Development PCL and the China Railway No. 10 Engineering Group. So that should tell you something right there. So the building had been topped out a year before in April 2024, and it was only 30% done in construction when it collapsed. This was the State Audit Office building under construction. But here you can see it coming down, and there goes the crane. And then here is another clip taken from down the street from a different angle. And this one doesn't show the collapse, but you can see when they zoom in, you can see the crane is swaying front to back big time. And here's another view from the street. You can hear the people just panicking as they run away. And then here, again, someone captured it from a different angle. But look, they had the camera off of the tower when the collapse started. But at least they captured some of it coming down. Now this video shows it with the best clarity of where and how it started. It looks like it started up near the top, and we're going to show this again in slow motion so we can analyze the top of it there. I slowed it down 5x here for you so you can see the progression of the collapse from the roof. So if we go back here to the beginning of it, let's take a look at the building. Now first of all, make sure you realize that, look how it's smooth down the left edge. So this is just before everything started to go south on it. Now, I can't tell if it looks like this column here is leaning to the right a little bit. Doesn't it look like it's not going quite straight? And that there might be something wrong with these two. That's what I'm a little uncertain of. It just looks like we have, across this level here, we have some sort of imbalance in the straight line. Because you notice how these are all straight lines going across here on these floors. But these floor sections here seem to be already out of alignment there. So I don't know if that caused something up here and maybe a weakening of these columns. So let's just kind of pull it forward a little bit so you can see it's starting to sink already. So it sank right here first. See that in the middle? And we go down a little more and then a little more. And now you're starting to see buckling on the side of the building here. Okay, but look, I'm also seeing some buckling down here as well. You see that right there on the left? And I'm seeing a little buckling on the right side of the building going down. Because remember, this was all perfectly straight edge a couple of seconds before. Let me back it up. See how everything is a perfect straight edge? You don't see any buckling or bulges or anything. It's just a nice flat edge. Then as it starts to collapse down, boom, there it goes. So now you're starting to see all the way down buckling here. Even though there's something happening at the top right now, there also seems to be buckling going at the bottom. So the collapse of this 33-story building in Bangkok, Thailand, looks very similar to the way the Champlain Towers condominium here in Miami collapsed. So those of you who have been following my channel for years, you've seen all of my videos that I've done on that Miami condo collapse. And you can see here how the two just look so similar, where it looks like it started at the roof, even though the one in Miami really started down in the basement. It collapsed first, but it caused the roof up above to collapse also, as all of the floors came pancaking down. So this almost makes me think that something happened at the bottom first, and we're going to show you that in another clip coming up. But I just wanted to show you here the progression in a little bit of more of a slower manner so we could see how everything happened. And gosh, this looks so much like the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center. But, you know, this is what happens when a building is pancaking. This is a classic pancaking. It just comes straight down. Now, this is by far the closest and clearest video showing it collapsing from the bottom, right at the construction site. Here again, I slowed the video down 5x for you. So now we can see it in a little bit more of a slower motion. And then we'll analyze it. But here you can see it's beginning to fall. There's your panels on the left sliding off and buckling. Now they're all buckling, and there comes your columns at the bottom. So after this, we'll take a look at it and see if we can't pinpoint where it first started at. Okay, so as we start off at the beginning, here's the workers walking on the ground. And I want you to pay special attention to this area right in here, because you're going to see some plume of dust cloud starting to form here, and it will get bigger and bigger. Now, I wish we had the whole view going all the way up to the top, because at this point, we don't know if these clouds of dust are going to happen here before the roof up top started to pancake down. So that's kind of crucial to be able to tell what happened. But let me move it forward a bit here. And as we come up a bit, a few more seconds, look right here. You see that? That's a cloud of dust that is starting there. And this also looks like it might be bending here, like it's giving away at this point, whatever this is. So it looks like it's something that's still under construction at the bottom there, even though this building was capped off a year ago. So the entire skeleton of this building should be able to withstand any type of acoustic amplification from an earthquake, even 600 miles away. So now as we move ahead another half second or so, you can see there's getting to be more dust there and more here. So something is already happening at this part of the floor. And notice how that at this point, the glass on the left is already buckling, and some of these panels are just getting ready to pop off now. Pop it back a couple of seconds. Remember how smooth, there it is, nice and smooth there. And in just a few seconds, it's already getting rippled there on the left side. And then notice how our dust cloud is now spread to these. It almost looks like, if this is indeed a flat slab connection to these columns here, they're popping here. It's almost doing a punching shear. If that is the type of a connection that they have here, it's a punching shear. Yeah, and so one of the columns around the bottom here must have buckled, or you started to see some punching shear in some of the columns. And so now you can see the whole building is now getting ready to come down. And right here, poof, these two columns already gave way at this point. So these two have just snapped. They didn't even hold it together. So I bet some of the engineers are going to be looking at the rebar. What's the quality of the rebar? Too much rebar, not enough aggregate in the concrete. And see, now you're getting a view up at the top what's going on. And it sort of looks like it's already started to pancake up top there. But, you know, it really seems like something happened down in this area first. My money says this building filled at the bottom first. See, so here it comes down now. And then you have a cloud and you can't even really tell what's happening from this point on. Okay, so you're thinking, great. So Thailand hasn't had any major earthquakes there pretty much ever. So why was this a problem with this earthquake being 600 miles away? In fact, here is a map showing all of the earthquakes that have struck Thailand since 1920. And as we can see looking at the map, they've had very, very few earthquakes in Thailand. In fact, none of them have really been all that big at all. I think it looks like the magnitude of 5 right here. So Myanmar is back here, and here's Mandalay. Here's where the earthquake that struck last week was. But you can see they've had numerous large-scale earthquakes all over in Myanmar, and then, of course, offshore as well. But nothing big. And then here's Bangkok, a full 600 miles away. How could the earthquake from last week affect Bangkok this far away? Well, it's a 7.7 earthquake, 600 miles away. But even then, you would think, well, that should put some distance and safety between it, right? Well, no, and I'll tell you why. Because Thailand has a big problem with its soil. It has this real kind of soft soil, and it's called alluvial soil. And the big problem with this alluvial soil is that seismic waves can pass through these soft, deep soils like it did here in Bangkok, and it increases the shaking intensity at the surface. So this is similar to like a bowl of jelly, you know how it just kind of like shakes all over the place when you bounce it around just a little bit? So it's kind of like that. Okay, so because this shaking gets amplified like this, it can actually make the earthquake feel a lot stronger than it is. And if you have a building that's designed to not even withstand who knows how much it's supposed to withstand, you could have a problem there. That's why in these soft soils, so the problem is you have to isolate the building's foundation from all of that shaking ground, right? And one of the ways they do that is by going through all of that shaky ground deeper with concrete piles. until there's firmer ground beneath it. We do this all the time here in the United States. We go down to the bedrock. You go down to the limestone here in Florida. You go, deep down in until you can get to that much more firmer support. So that way it doesn't matter if the ground underneath is shaking, because the pylons are going down to the stronger ground, the stronger support beneath it. See, here's a great example of how the earthquakes work. You have the tectonic plates that rub together until one gives, and then you saw how it bounced around on the left-hand side. See, they just keep moving and bouncing as they rub against each other like that. See, watch, you'll see it snap right back up again. Boom. That's exactly how it works. So engineers and architects keep coming up with more ideas to isolate the building's movement from the Earth's movement below. Here's another example here of some other things that they've tried. The one on the right seems to be the one that we saw the most in action there on some of those videos in Thailand, where the tall condominiums just swayed left and right, but yet they didn't snap, they didn't break, and they certainly didn't collapse like that embarrassment of a 33-story building in Thailand 600 miles away.
So, I hope everyone understands that this building was the only building that suffered any damage from this earthquake. What is strange about this, not only that it was obviously demolished on purpose, there was another strange thing, is that the very next day, two teams, one from US Army and the other one from Israeli Army, arrived to allegedly help Thai rescue workers to deal with the pile of the rubble of this building. So, just to remind you that the destruction in Bangkok was not extended. There was just only a single building in the whole Bangkok that collapsed. No other damage at all. A part of the bridge between the two towers that was partly damaged. But in the neighboring Myanmar, there was extensive damage. A huge city of over 1 million residents was almost destroyed, and many other cities also. So the most of rescuers headed to Burma because they needed help, not to Thailand. In Thailand, I believe the Thai rescue teams can manage this single building collapse. But strangely, Israelis and Americans arrived to Bangkok, not to Myanmar. You can watch these videos, although they are in Thai, but you can clearly hear the word Israel in both of them.
ทหารสหรัฐแล้วก็อิสราเอลนะฮะก็ดูจะเป็นมิตรประเทศนะฮะสองชาติแรกที่มาช่วยกู้ภัยตึกถล่มนะฮะจากเหตุแผ่นดินไหวในกรุงเทพมหานครทีมผู้เชี่ยวชาญจากกองทัพและกระทรวงกลาโหมของอิสราเอลเดินทางถึงกรุงเทพแล้วเมื่อวันที่30มีนาคมเพื่อช่วยเหลือทางการไทยในภารกิจกู้ชีวิตใต้ซากตึก33ชั้นที่ถล่มลงมาซึ่งยังมีผู้ประสบภัยติดอยู่ใต้ซากอาคารอีกหลาย10รายหลังจากเกิดแผ่นดินไหวรุนแรงในเมียนมาซึ่งส่งผลให้เกิดแรงสั่นสะเทือนไปถึงกรุงเทพซึ่งอยู่ห่างจากศูนย์กลางแผ่นดินไหวถึง 1,000 กิโลเมตรทีมผู้เชี่ยวชาญจากอิสราเอล
And here is a short video showing an American army worker that was dealing with the building collapse.
I heard that some drone technology was being given by the US to the local authorities there. Is that the case or something other has been?
Yeah, any type of technology that we can assist with or any resources or capabilities that we can assist with that they've requested, we're more than happy to provide.
What do you think are the chances of survival for the people who are, buried inside that rubble?
I think there are still chances of finding survivors in there, and I would ask that at this time we keep our, our brothers and sisters from Thailand in our hearts as well as their families.
Earlier also, I spotted some embassy folks also, US embassy folks. Are there any other means that you guys are reaching out to the people here? Any other, because technology has been provided by the US. Any other things that the US is doing to help the cause here?
Really anything that our Thai partners request of us that we can support, we will. But if you excuse me, sir, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Note, these Americans and Israelis were not typical rescue workers. They were military, Israeli military and the American military. So someone may ask a question: what could be a motive behind the demolition of this building in Thailand? The motive is obvious, because this construction was made by a famous Chinese company, and someone who came to power in America shortly before that wanted to make anti-China policy. So to switch attention from a former enemy, which is Russia, that attacked Ukraine, to China, that is a more dangerous enemy of America from a geostrategic point of view. I think maybe you remember that what was going on soon after Mr. Trump won the election and became for the second time a president of America. He clearly declared his anti-Chinese policy. So demolition of this building that was presented to public as its alleged collapse because of the poor quality would no doubt heavily damage the reputation of the Chinese construction company and the China in general. It's very obvious. So when it comes to the motives, it's clear. When it comes to the controlled demolition, I believe it is clear also, because as you probably know, buildings do not collapse this way from the earthquake. They would collapse more or less in full, just fall over like that, not going floor to floor down into the accurate pile of rubble.
เดี๋ยวเราจะเข้าเช็คอีกรอบนึงนะอีกรอบนึงให้เตรียมทีมหมดอีกรอบนึงเอามือก็เลยตอนนี้การเข้ามือแต่ผู้มีโอกาสก่อนครับอาจารย์ครับ
Just to remind you also that there were over 100 construction workers working in the building at the moment of its demolition, and not more than 20 were found and extracted alive from the pile of rubble. So almost 100 of them were killed, and some of them died slowly under the pile because they were not able to reach them within first 11 days. I believe the last extracted life person was on the 10th day. It was really good luck. It was like a miracle. And after that there was no more. But we don't talk about the human casualties because this is not the point of this video. The point is that the fact that the building of the Auditor General Office of Thailand in Chatuchak area of Bangkok was demolished on purpose, and that is obvious. And its demolition was clearly synchronized with the earthquake that was about to happen in neighboring Myanmar, which is the hardest proof, and no one can argue against this proof, because logic is a tough thing, and that the logic says that if someone planned the demolition of this building in Thailand and he timed and synchronized the execution of this demolition with the earthquake in Myanmar, it means that the time of the earthquake in Myanmar was well known in advance. And this is in turn a proof that the earthquake in Myanmar was artificial. It was human-made. That's it. So this is the end of the second part of my explanation. And now I came to the last and the third part. Still at the end of March 2025, probably in the last day of March, or maybe the first day of April, I can't remember exactly. But just a couple of days after the earthquake and the demolition of the building in Bangkok, it came to my notice, I was informed of that the Freemasons planned a new artificial earthquake stronger than the one in Burma on 4th or 5th of July 2025, and it might probably happen in Japan, but it also might affect some regions of Southeast Asia, such as Thailand. Possibly also they will make it in Thailand or in Burma like the last time. I'm not quite sure where they will make it, but the warning was be careful. They plan to make a new earthquake in July 2025 on the day number 4 or 5 or maybe night from 4 to 5 in the Southeast Asia or Japan. And that is why I make this video as a warning. So please be informed that those evil people who made the first earthquake in Burma on March 28 and those who on purpose demolished a building in Bangkok with almost 100 casualties in disguise of the earthquake in the neighboring Myanmar are planning to make a new crime, a new earthquake, which they supposed to make on number 4 or number 5 of July 2025. I sincerely hope that after seeing this, my video published, the people who planned this earthquake will abstain from the attempt and don't do it. Or probably do it somewhere in America, maybe closer to their own homes, if they really like that. But in case they would still proceed with their plan and do it, you can use this video as a proof that it was made by Freemasons, because these are the Freemasons who did that. And you can use it as a proof. That's all I wanted to say. I would like to remind you, using this opportunity also, that I have a series of videos where I explained how the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center and Building 7 of the World Trade Center were demolished during 9/11. Of course, the building in Bangkok was not demolished by the nuclear explosions, but the buildings in America were. That's why the place of their demolition was called Ground Zero, which means a hypocenter of a nuclear explosion or its projection onto the Earth's surface. And I have a video where I explain this in detail. All links to these videos you can find in the description of this video, under this video, and in the first pinned comment under this video. This video is, of course, not possible to publish on YouTube anymore, because the censorship on YouTube became too strict, and the kind of publications is no longer allowed. But I published them on some other less censored sources, and you can watch my videos there. That's all I want to say, and be warned about the new crime that they planned. Thank you very much for your help, for your support, and for your attention.